Hey guys, now that the range is running, I figured I'd use it to run some errands. Let's see how that goes. Oh, door actually worked for once. It's nice. Alright guys, well we're getting a little toasty after driving for a little bit, which isn't great. So the highest I saw was 215. Granted, that was at a red light. At that point the thermostat started climbing as well. So I think it's probably getting too hot. I'm hoping this isn't a symptom of the head gasket not being installed correctly. I tried to be really careful there, but admittedly, it's my first time doing that, so could have messed that up. Once we're actually moving, it's all good. Back home now, didn't break down, so I guess that's all I can really ask for right now. So now we have some more data to work with and try to figure out what's going on there. All right, so we got Kyle here. We're letting him actually turn the truck on for once.
Starts right up.
Yeah, it starts right up. Problem is it overheats. All right, so yeah, today we're gonna be trying to figure out why this thing's overheating. We've got a bunch of different tester tools for it, starting with compression, just to make sure I did the head gasket right. Kyle will be learning how to use the key.
I think this is the first step.
Yeah, it is. Learning to use the key is the first step.
So it doesn't go all the way back unless you press this.
Correct.
thing?
It's some sort of release. It might be one of those safety releases, because you know.
Oh. They heard about the ignition switch.
Yeah, they heard about the ignition switch. They put a second switch.
Suck on that, GM.
Yeah, right.
All right. I think I got it now.
All right, guys. The first thing we're doing is a glove test. So we've got a glove on there. Yeah, we're gonna see when it turns over if that goes up. So we've unplugged both distributor caps and pulled the fuel pump relay. And then we're just gonna let it crank for a minute, see if this jumps up or not. If it jumps up, then, well, we've got a problem. Let's do it again. All right, I think we're good, dude.
How many times do you have to do it?
I don't think you have to do it many, and it didn't move at all. I mean, it moved, but it was just a fan blowing up, like it was like just like a little wave. It wasn't like, you know. All right, guys, so we feel pretty confident that at least the glove test came back negative. So at least with that test, we don't have a cylinder leak. We're still gonna go ahead and hook up the leak test kit just to verify and see. That'll actually tell us how much cylinder compression we have on each, which is kind of cool. So be good to know, since we just replaced the head and all, what we're dealing with. All right, guys, so it turns out the leak down kit I got doesn't actually fit on this car. I'm not sure why, but they send 3 adapters, none of them fit. So we're going ahead, just gonna go to Advance or AutoZone and pick up just a basic compression tester kit for a rent, just so we can at least still verify that today. All right, guys, we're doing a quick compression test here. I think we're starting with cylinder 2, maybe?
Do I have it at watt when I started?
Well, you know, it's not gonna start. The ignition packs are unplugged, so watt it and just turn it. That actually looked really good. It's at 120.
Did I get it high enough? Was it keep
It was still going, yeah.
Oh.
Turn it a few more times. I think you're good. I don't know how high it's supposed to go, but Jesus.
What's it up to?
200. Real good shape. That's cylinder 3, actually. All right, we're on to cylinder number 2. Keep going. 190. All right, guys, we're on to cylinder number 1. Good to go. Man, we are really looking good here. It's 190 as well. All right, we're on cylinder 4 now. So if this is all good, this means that we're good to go on compression, and our problem is somewhere else. Stop. Not looking good.
Not going up?
Not going up.
Glove test though.
Right. I could verify that this is seated incorrectly. All right, guys, I reseated. Make sure you wad it. You wadded?
Yeah.
Go.
You see it moving?
Yeah, you're wadded. Go. The battery's dying, but that's not causing what I'm seeing. All right, guys, so we have bad compression in one of the cylinders still. So now we got to figure out how to get our leak down tester kit to actually give us a good answer. So basically we're doing a leak down test because when we did the cylinder compression test, it came back 70 PSI on cylinder number 4, and unfortunately the rest are at 190. So we definitely have a problem there. So
We're
trying to
already
figure
at
out.
top dead center.
Yep, we're at top dead center, we think. Yeah. So
all the way anti-clockwise, you got to
that's
turn
done.
it.
It's done.
Now connect the air.
Okay.
Now calibrate it by turning it clockwise until the needle on the right is at set. Or 0.
Correct. Y'all ready to take this engine apart again? Check out our upcoming videos where I'll just be reposting all of our videos from last time, but pretending it worked this time. All right, so we're
Calibrated. Set. Now connect that hose to that hose.
Plug these in and see what reads.
Smells good.
Smells like oil. It's leaking out right here. Nothing out the exhaust.
Anything out there?
A little bit out the inlet.
Let's open the body. Very little. You know what it was? It's probably because we didn't get exact perfect.
We could try turning it over again and see.
Can we try turning it over while it's blowing air?
Oh, I mean, yeah, but. Alright, so what is this? Oils? This is cylinder seals then? Where else am I supposed to check? What all does it say?
Oh.
I checked the exhaust and the inlet already.
Cylinder that's not leaking will read 20% in the green band. We are leaking at 60%.
Yeah, we are leaking.
Helpful suggestions. If 100% or excessive leakage shows on the gauge, the cylinder may not be at top dead center, which it is not, so we have to take a little bit of a grain of sand, or a grain of salt.
But
salt, pepper, whatever. Check that the valves are closed. Always try to position for the uniform results. If the rings are broken or cylinder walls are scored, excessive leakage will be identified. It's important that all cylinders have uniform readings. Differences in excess of 15% indicate excess. The lower the pitch of the leakage sound, the greater the leak. I'd say that's pretty low pitched. Look, even the oil has pushed itself out of here already.
that was already out of there. This doesn't explain the overheating.
What do you mean? Oil helps cool an engine as well, but not by that much. Damn.
It doesn't
I
explain.
think maybe you have a double problem.
There could be a double problem. You think there's any air coming out here? I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything. I really don't feel any air there, do you?
No, but that's just because this whole thing's clogged.
Do you want to try turning the engine over one more time and see top dead center it again, and then see if we get a different result, just to make sure we got that right? It's very easy to do. It's from Michigan.
Oh, it is? Look at you with the facts.
Sorry, Wisconsin. I'm sorry. They're right next to each other.
No, they're not.
Michigan and Wisconsin?
Yeah, if you're talking about the UP.
No, I'm talking about just Michigan, dude.
The MIT?
The MIT, man.
I'm gonna Google how long of a drive it is.
It's like driving to Alabama from here. They're right next to each other. Would you not say that Florida is right next to Alabama?
I wouldn't, you're right.
But it is. It's
But
the
it's
next
not.
state over.
No.
Be sure to tell us in the comments what you think.
I think if you measure the state by its if you center the state on its population density with how heavily weighted Miami, Tampa, and Orlando are towards the middle south of the state,
That's fair.
then it is not close.
I'm just saying, map-wise, you look at a map, it is right next to it.
Yeah, but map-wise doesn't matter.
You ready for some leakage? What leakage? So that is how much it's supposed to be hissing. You can't feel it out the cap at all.
Do you want to try and do a better top dead center on the back one then?
We can, but like...
Because we got it a little...
Oh, it's coming out the intake still, which is okay.
Not as much. So it's definitely leaking.
It's definitely leaking. I guarantee you the 4 cylinder's leaking. That's a given.
Where is it leaking from, Robert? That's a $1 million question.
I'm going with piston rings.
Yeah, shout out Ron D for this whole guide.
I mean, we know where the problem is now. Honestly, if we're taking this whole thing apart again, we're getting a new radiator, we're getting a new water pump, we're getting a new, what else do we even need? Fan clutch? We're getting a new fan clutch, we're getting a new, really everything basically. New block.
New V6 swab.
V6 swab. I don't know how to work on the V6, that's the problem. I only know this engine.
I don't actually ride a bike with any handlebars.
All right, I'll get the gas.
I'm not shifting over that, bud.
I don't think it's a 3-seater. It's got a seat. It's got a seatbelt in the middle. Why?
Maybe for a very small child.
Just put your legs.
Put your legs on me.
Oh, just put your legs.
We're just going for a quick ride here. As you can see, this is a 3-seater. We got Kyle driving today. All right, over and to the right. Just come closer to me if you want to go into. You gotta pull the release handle up top.
I don't know enough about this situation.
I think you might have stomped the. Yeah, you stomped it. Might be broken now. Now the windshield wipers are on. Maybe put some water on that.
Things are going well.
Never mind, those are the brights. Oh, those are the brights. So we got a little test area that I use here.
I don't want to get soaked.
Make sure you get them really wet. Watch the fence. Hello. 203.
They don't respect you if you talk to them. I gave them one of these.
Yeah, that's fair. Coolant held in the same spot, by the way. Didn't go down anymore.
What is all this?
It's oil from where this leaked out when we were doing the thing. We just kind of smashed these.
Ow. Oof. All right.
Hot up top?
Yeah.
Feel the bottom one.
Hot.
Very hot?
Yeah.
All right.
All signs point to water pump at that.
So we decided, ow, just dropped it. We just decided to drop a breaker bar on our foot and that hurt.
Decided to put Rob out of his misery.
All right, so we decided that the low compression, since it's not leaking into the coolant, is most likely not our overheating issue. And therefore we're moving on to, we're gonna replace, in the next video, we're gonna replace the water pump and see if that fixes the problem. In the meantime, we have a couple check engine codes that we're trying to figure out. And so a lot of them lead to basically the EGR system. So I've got a vacuum pump and we got a vacuum gauge as well to try to read some data off of these. And so the first test we're doing, there's actually a really good diagnostics link I found that basically walks through the whole EGR system and how to test each part. So the first thing we're doing is doing a EGR valve vacuum test. It consists of taking a vacuum pump and pumping down the EGR valve and seeing if basically if the EGR valve holds vacuums or if it's leaking vacuum. So that's the first test. Like that.
It's supposed to not like it.
I know. But anyway, all right. So that was actually conclusive. The EGR valve's not bad. It held vacuum. Still holding vacuum, in fact.
How high is it?
I pumped it all the way up to 15 almost.
So what we had happen was we needed to test the EGR valve. That's holding vacuum really well right now. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna connect the vacuum pump, hand pump. Just got a quick hand pump for a couple bucks off Amazon. So you're gonna pump that up real nice while the car's on. It's gonna start to idle really, really rough, like it's gonna die. And you're gonna make sure that the vacuum is still held for a few minutes, you know, or like a few seconds, depending on your patience after the car's off. And what that means is that the seal in the EGR itself is still good. So then after that, that was good for us. So then after that, we're gonna move to this wire right here. As you can see, we have the probe on that. Bought a couple set of non-destructive wire probes to get the voltage on there. So that just kind of jams in right next to that number 1 wire there. There's about 4 or 5 different connectors that you want to look for in this car. So make sure that you know, check out that guide online. Link in the description below to figure out how to probe the correct one. Then what you're gonna do is hook up the multimeter. Luckily we have some pretty long cables here. to the battery negative terminal and the probe. Then you're going to start the car with no vacuum. So you press the bottom of that, get the vacuum out. It's going to idle fine. You're going to look for a relatively low but stable voltage. The guide says around 0.9. We had 1.3 volts on the multimeter, which is fine. The main thing that you want to look for is that it increases as you start to apply vacuum. So you just hand pump, get it up to about 20, 25. It's going to idle really rough, but the point being is that the voltage is going to increase on the multimeter as it increases in vacuum, up to a point of 3 to 3.5. That's what we were seeing. Now that that's confirmed working, we're going to check the solenoid.
We're good. Normal 20. It's gonna come back up. Yeah, it's just because of the idle. It was at 20, but okay. So that test is fine then.
What's that?
That test is fine then.
So back after the test of the solenoid, so 2 tests on the solenoid. First test is the car producing enough vacuum for the solenoid? That test was a resounding yes, with about 15, a little bit more. So that's probably fine for the solenoid. It started out at about 20. So the next test after that was to say, hey, is the solenoid even getting the right voltage? It was getting correct voltage off the battery. Should be around 12 volts. Ours was 14, but more volts. Can't be bad.
More volts. Better.
Now we have to do a road test.
It doesn't fly out.
So what we've done is we've secured our nice vacuum gauge here. Sorry, officer, I was just monitoring my vacuum. And
fly out the instant we hit a bump.
so we have this here, which is normally connected to this vacuum line, which is coming off the solenoid. So when the solenoid opens, vacuum's provided to this EGR. So instead of going to that, it's going to go to our gauge to see the whole system working together, what the issue is, after testing all the individual components.
Just thinking about it, I could put a T-split on there.
I'm Mr. T,
but
and this is my vacuum line hookup.
it's just a thought. I'll probably go without it. I'm just saying. All right, we got all of our connectors on those. So. All right. Yeah. So if that drops, we should be good.
Should be good. So we got to do a road test with overheating Ranger while monitoring 8 things at once. Live debugging right here.
Somehow.
Just let her down easy.
But it's not going to be able. We're not going to see the vacuum.
Just let her down easy.
It's going to be pinched.
Let her down. Let her down. Let her down. Let her down.
No, dude, it's
very pinched.
All right. I don't know if it's going to work.
Quick tip: if you don't know if it's going to work, take it to a mechanic. Again, big shout out to the guy that wrote this guide.
Hopefully he's right.
There's a donation link at the end of the guide. Robert, are you going to donate?
No comment. All right. Tell me if this is pinching.
Are you going to donate, Robert?
Maybe. Fine. I'll donate if this works.
I'll match your donation.
If it works, we'll donate.
We'll catch you 5 seconds in the car.
550. Oh yeah. 0 0 0 0 0
Clutch.
0.
Third.
All right, so give it some gas right now. I mean, it's not that great.
So it says vacuum gauge needle moved up to 5 when you accelerated and then dropped to 0. This indicates that the EGR valve system did not move to 5 when you accelerated and then dropped to 0. This indicates that the vacuum regulator solenoid is bad.
Alright guys, so we came to the conclusion that we're pretty sure it's the water pump.
Oh no.
He's gonna knock it over. We're pretty sure it's the water pump, so we're gonna go ahead and replace that. Basically, we got EGR valve, power steering pump, power steering fluid, fan clutch, and
Radiator flush.
And a
Did you say water pump?
water pump coming at you next video. But
I think you know by now, we attempt to do 6 things in a video.
yep, we attempt to do a couple things. So the
we'll
thing
probably
is,
discover a few more problems along the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the cylinder rings. We're gonna start pulling that engine.
we're not pulling the engine until after June.
Hit us up if you got a used Ranger
2.5
block.
liter, yep. That is in good condition, pristine condition. So yeah, we're diving back in next week. This week we mainly just did some diagnostics.
A lot of diagnostics. Big shout out to Ron D.
Yeah, big shout out to Ron D on the.
And big shout out to the guide on link in the description.
We'll find out. You know what? Before we link to it, let's make sure they were right. Let's replace that valve and see what happens. If we replace it and it works, we'll donate $10 to the guy who wrote the guide.
That's
it was
good.
a very in-depth guide.
Everything was accurate.
Yeah.
All the wires, he had different types of wires. Maybe that solenoid is bad. Maybe he was right. Maybe you owe him $10, which I did say earlier in this video I would match.
You matched, you gotta also pay 10. We'll see, we'll find out next week, won't we?
Till then, YouTube.